There aren't very many now, but starting about 2 weeks ago, I had an infestation of fungus gnats, just tiny little flies. They were particularly fond of my peas, and they were causing me a lot of problems. Mainly what happens is that the fungus gnats will lay their eggs on the peas that are sprouting, and as the larvae grow, they will feed off the tiny root hairs in the peas, which means that your peas die and rot, and you basically lose that whole crop. At first I didn't recognize what was going on, but then I started to run across the information about this and what to do to fight them. So you can fight the flies directly, and I did that using a bunch of fly strips, and I caught quite a lot of the little buggers, but that doesn't really solve the problem. I also put up one of these yard type of bug killers. I think it's a good practice to have this in your growing area if it's indoors, but frankly it wasn't that effective on taking care of these things. Another thing that I did was I put about a half teaspoon of neem oil in a sprayer. Sometimes I did this along with some herbs like clove and rosemary, and then I sprayed this on the affected peas. Later on I found an article that said, the bugs have to eat the neem in order to die from it, so basically I think it might be better to water the greens so that it gets absorbed into the plant, and then when they eat the plant. The only thing I'm concerned about with the neem is that it may alter the flavor of the plant. Also, you wonder about toxicity in general, but I found out that a person who got very sick from eating neem had used about 20 milliliters, that's like 2 tablespoons or so, a little bit more than that, and he got pretty sick off that. But of course, if you use this on your plants, you're not going to get very much on them, and it's not really going to be a big health problem. I think the best solution I found for this was to put some peroxide in water and spray it on the peas. This is 3% peroxide that you buy from a grocery store. In my mix, I'm actually using this 3% peroxide, 30 milliliters, and then adding 70 milliliters of water into this mixture, and then putting it into this spray jar. And I'm spraying them a couple of times a day, and that seemed to have tamped it down pretty thoroughly. Also remember that peroxide deteriorates when exposed to light, so when you're not using the spray, put it in a dark cabinet so it will retain its strength. The peas seem to be the favorites, particularly these were peas that had been soaked for a long time, like overnight. Other things like sunflowers and salad mix and kale and things like that did not seem to attract these bugs.